The sun ascends over the vast Pacific Ocean, painting the sky with a golden, ethereal glow, a spectacle millions pay thousands of dollars just to witness. Yet, as this beautiful light bathes the sands of Venice Beach, it illuminates more than just a picture-perfect paradise. It brutally exposes a hidden battlefield. For the throngs of tourists arriving with their cameras poised and ice cream cones in hand, Venice is a vibrant playground, brimming with bohemian spirit and the fresh scent of salt air. But for the thousands of human beings who exist in the unforgiving shadows of those very palm trees, it is a high-stakes arena of sheer survival, where the relentless enemy isn't merely hunger or the biting cold. It is, in its most cruel form, invisibility. "I am still a productive part of this society," a man asserts, his voice cracking with emotion, barely audible against the rhythmic roar of the crashing waves. His name is Mark. He once built a life as an engineer, meticulously designing the very systems and infrastructure that now, ironically, serve to exclude him entirely. People don't see the human being beneath the grime. They only perceive the health crises, they only notice the dependency, and then they summarily decide we are nothing but trash to be unceremoniously hauled away. Mark's poignant narrative is far from an isolated incident. It resonates as the quiet, yet powerful, anthem sung daily along the boardwalk. As the city gears up for an ambitious and massive beautification surge, designed to entice international tourism back to its shores, the immense pressure on the unhoused population is reaching an undeniable breaking point. The authorities officially dub it cleaning up the landscape, a sterile phrase that belies the harsh reality. Yet, for the people living in makeshift tents, desperately clinging to their fragile shelters, they have given it a more ominous name: the Purge. They are being relentlessly hounded, frequently handcuffed, and systematically discarded, not because they have committed any actual crimes, but for the sheer audacity of existing in a public space primarily designated for tourist selfies and carefree holidays. Imagine the profound injustice of being arrested simply for trying to sleep in a parking lot. Mark voices a question that echoes with disturbing resonance across the entire coastline. What exactly am I going to do? Steal the very pavement I'm trying to rest on? I'm just trying to close my eyes for a few hours without the constant fear of being kicked in the ribs. The chasm between these two worlds is utterly shocking. On one side, city officials methodically dismantle nylon shelters and confiscate the last, most precious remnants of a person's life: cherished photos, essential blankets, irreplaceable ID cards, all under the guise of ensuring a cleaner image for the 15 million affluent visitors who annually flock to this area. On the other side, revealing studies from the Rand Corporation expose a terrifyingly sobering truth. These aggressive sweeps offer nothing more than a fleeting, 2-month illusion of progress. Once the media cameras depart and public scrutiny wanes, the numbers of unhoused individuals inevitably swell again. In a deeply unsettling twist, these very aggressive evictions have paradoxically exacerbated the problem, increasing the rate of people with absolutely no shelter whatsoever to a staggering 46%. It is a vicious, inescapable cycle of displacement that offers no genuine exits, only more disheartening circles of despair. Behind every single tent flap lies a deeply personal story, one that could, under different circumstances, very easily be your own. You might perceive a homeless person, but the deeper reality reveals an accomplished engineer who tragically lost his entire firm in the last devastating economic crash. You might observe a vivid character on the boardwalk, seemingly an eccentric part of the scenery, but she is, in truth, a heartbroken single mother driven to the streets by a crushing $50,000 medical bill for a child she can no longer adequately protect from the damp, chilling coastal air. This is not merely a dry report or a collection of statistics. This is an urgent, immersive journey into the very heart of a profound crisis that the world, for the most part, deliberately chooses to ignore. Welcome to Homeless U.S. News. If you truly believe these human beings deserve to be heard, to have their struggles acknowledged, we implore you to stay with us. A simple like ensures these faces aren't unceremoniously erased from public consciousness, and subscribing means you are actively choosing to look deeply where countless others habitually turn away. Part 2. The Geography of Despair. The sheer scale of the crisis unfolding in Venice is not merely a localized issue. It represents a profound, seismic shift within the broader American landscape. According to the comprehensive data from the Los Angeles Homeless Services Administration (LAHSA), Venice has tragically emerged as one of the most concentrated hotspots of human suffering anywhere on the entire West Coast. While the sprawling Los Angeles County grapples with a staggering population of over 75,000 individuals without homes, Venice tragically serves as its epicenter. A relentless pressure cooker where more than 600 people are crammed into a tiny, unforgiving coastal strip, perpetually fighting for every precious inch of sand. The surge in homelessness here is absolutely relentless, fueled by an explosive and toxic cocktail of skyrocketing rents, a complete and systemic lack of genuinely affordable housing, and a deeply flawed system that continues to treat poverty as a moral failing rather than an undeniable economic reality. Consequently, the numbers continue their agonizing climb. The fundamental fracture in this entire system is the critical lack of emergency beds. There are hundreds more desperate people in need than there are available pillows. This leaves the most vulnerable with a choice that, in truth, is no choice at all. Endure the harsh reality of the unforgiving sidewalk or the cold, damp sand. Existing within these makeshift encampments is a brutal, daily exercise in extreme endurance. The flimsy huts and tents offer a fragile, fleeting illusion of safety, yet they are woefully no match for the relentless, unforgiving elements. The coastal nights here are not merely cool. They are bone-chillingly damp, an invasive cold that seeps deep into the very marrow of anyone attempting to sleep on the ground. During the day, the iconic California sun, often seen as a symbol of paradise, transforms into a relentless predator, leading to severe dehydration and life-threatening heat stroke. Without any consistent access to clean water or proper sanitation, these desperate camps inevitably become fertile breeding grounds for dangerous infections and pervasive despair. People sleep with one eye literally open, perpetually guarding their meager possessions from theft, constant violence, and the ever-present, terrifying threat of a sudden city sweep that could instantly leave them with nothing but the clothes on their backs. This is the profoundly sad truth, often hidden beneath the sterile surface of data. Almost every single person living in a tent today once firmly believed they were completely immune to such a life. They thought they possessed an unshakable safety net. They thought they had ample time. But the precipitous descent from a stable apartment to a sleeping bag on a public boardwalk happens with the terrifying speed and finality of a car crash. One missed paycheck, one devastating medical diagnosis, one irreparably broken relationship, and suddenly, unexpectedly, you find yourself an unwilling, permanent part of the scenery that countless others desperately try to crop out of their idyllic vacation photos. Part 3. The Brutality of the Elements. For the beleaguered residents of Venice's tent city, the weather itself transforms into a constant, unyielding antagonist. The very sea breeze, so cherished and sought after by casual tourists, becomes a living nightmare for someone without the fundamental protection of a solid wall. Outreach teams tragically report that a staggering 70% of those living unsheltered suffer from severe, chronic medical conditions, including debilitating heart disease, severe respiratory issues, and profound physical trauma, all of which are dramatically exacerbated by the relentless, inescapable exposure to the elements. However, the physical environment and its inherent harshness represent only half of the battle. There is an insidious psychological warfare constantly at play during the regularly scheduled sanitation cleanups. Imagine the profound stress of being abruptly told you have a mere 10 minutes to pack up and move your entire life. If you happen to be at a crucial doctor's appointment or actively looking for work when the city trucks inexorably arrive, your precious belongings, your only tent, irreplaceable family photos, life-saving medication, are unceremoniously tossed into a compactor. This constant, pervasive state of high alert creates an unbearable level of cognitive stress that truly rivals the psychological toll of a combat zone. According to harrowing reports, an alarming 1 in 3 individuals living on the Venice coast will become a victim of either physical violence or theft within a mere 6-month window. When you possess no door to lock, you are left with absolutely no sense of safety or security. This profound and pervasive lack of security inherently breeds an overwhelming sense of instability, making any genuine recovery almost an impossible dream. How can one realistically apply for a job when they haven't been able to sleep for more than 2 hours at a time? How can one possibly plan for any kind of future when they don't even know if their only tent will still be there when they return from a brief trip to the bathroom? Part 4. The Dignity Deficit, the Hygiene Crisis. One of the most harrowing and profoundly dehumanizing aspects of the Venice crisis is the total, systemic collapse of basic hygiene. In a society that relentlessly judges individuals by their outward appearance, the inability to simply stay clean becomes nothing less than a death sentence for one's inherent dignity. Public restrooms are exceptionally rare, often inexplicably locked at night, and perpetually overcrowded during the day. For someone experiencing homelessness, their entire day is frequently dictated and consumed by the relentless, desperate search for a functional toilet or a clean sink. When these critically scarce facilities are closed, people are cruelly forced into impossible and humiliating situations. Some resort to using precious bottled water to simply wash their faces. Others, out of sheer desperation, turn to the ocean, fully aware that the salt and bacteria will only exacerbate their existing skin conditions. Health assessments reveal a hidden, insidious epidemic of foot rot, gravely untreated wounds, and persistent skin infections that, in a housed environment, would be easily treated with a simple bandage and an over-the-counter cream. On the unforgiving street, these minor issues quickly escalate into life-threatening cases of sepsis. The profound impact of this crisis is not merely physical, it is profoundly social and psychological. Being visibly unclean erects an insurmountable barrier that no amount of dedicated outreach can easily overcome. It leads directly to the crushing stigma of the street. People recount the searing pain of being callously ignored by passers-by or being abruptly kicked out of a library, often the only available place with air conditioning, simply because of their unfortunate scent. This pervasive isolation creates a deep, psychological vacuum. When you are made to feel subhuman, you eventually cease trying to engage with a world that treats you as if you were nothing more than a ghost. This is precisely where the devastating cycle of long-term instability truly takes root and flourishes. Part 5. The Pier of Paradox, Tourism versus Survival. Nowhere is the shocking and stark divide more glaringly apparent than at the iconic Venice fishing pier. This impressive structure stretches a majestic 1,300 feet into the vast expanse of the Pacific, serving as a picturesque spot where avid anglers catch thousands of fish and countless tourists meticulously capture that perfect sunset photograph. But one must look closer, beyond the surface. Beneath the very pier, deep within the extended shadows of the bustling boardwalk, there exists a stark, parallel universe. Venice proudly welcomes a staggering 15 million visitors annually. This vibrant tourist economy generates millions in revenue from enthusiastic vendors, selling an array of local art, quirky trinkets, and California Dream t-shirts. Yet, that very same economic engine, driven by the pursuit of leisure and profit, is precisely what relentlessly grinds the unhoused further into the unforgiving sand. The boardwalk itself functions as a constant pressure cooker. You observe large tour groups of 50 people laughing merrily and walking casually past graffiti-covered walls that discreetly hide the silent agony of those who literally have nowhere else to go. It is a heartbreaking and uncomfortable choreography of mutual avoidance. The boundless freedom of the open ocean seems to mock the severe confinement of the street. While the affluent escape to the beach to revel in a sense of liberation, the unhoused are tragically trapped there by their own desperate lack of any viable options. A July 2025 study reported a slight 15% dip in visible homelessness, but do not allow these numbers to deceptively fool you. That reported decline often merely signifies that people have been forcibly pushed into the darker, less visible alleys or the dangerous, remote outskirts of the city. The underlying vulnerability hasn't genuinely vanished. It has simply been strategically moved out of the narrow frame of the tourist's camera lens. Part 6. The Silence of the Crowd. Perhaps the most haunting and pervasive reality of Venice Beach is the profound phenomenon of social invisibility. Extensive outreach data strongly suggests that a staggering 65% of the unhoused population feel completely and utterly ignored. They exist in a vibrant, public space where thousands upon thousands of conversations unfold ceaselessly around them. Yet almost none of those conversations are ever directed at or include them. This enforced, taught silence slowly becomes a critical survival mechanism. When you are repeatedly dismissed, consistently ignored, or cruelly insulted every single time you attempt to speak, you eventually inevitably stop talking altogether. This profound loss of voice leads to a catastrophic breakdown in access to essential medical care and even basic personal safety. If you firmly believe that absolutely no one is listening, you won't bother to report an assault. You won't mention that persistent chest pain. You simply fade further into the background music of the bustling boardwalk, becoming an unspoken, unseen part of the scenery. Alarmingly, over 60% of chronically unsheltered adults in this immediate area grapple with severe, untreated mental health conditions. But let us be unequivocally clear. Often the very madness that people perceive on the street is, in fact, a perfectly rational and understandable response to the deeply irrational and profound trauma of being unceremoniously discarded by your very own species. The exhaustion experienced here is not merely physical, it is overwhelmingly emotional. It is the crushing weight of being perpetually tolerated, but never, ever genuinely wanted. Seven, the systemic failure, the limits of help. We often find ourselves asking with genuine concern, why don't they simply go to a shelter? The answer, as simple as it is devastatingly accurate, reverberates through the community. There are no available beds. In Venice, the critical gap between need and resource is not merely a disparity, it is a gaping canyon. Dedicated outreach teams are active, diligently contacting over 500 individuals every single quarter. However, these compassionate workers are all too often forced to offer only referrals to extensive waiting lists that stretch for years into the future. With only a mere 250 interim beds available for an immediate area population of nearly 600 unhoused individuals, the tragic math of misery becomes horrifyingly clear. Even when an individual manages to achieve a genuine breakthrough and bravely expresses their readiness and willingness to leave the street, the entrenched system frequently fails them at the most critical juncture. Imagine mustering every ounce of courage to ask for help, only to be told to check back in 3 months. By that agonizing point, the person may have vanished entirely, suffered another devastating health crisis, or tragically lost their fragile will to try again. This profound and pervasive failure is not a moral failing of the individuals themselves. It is, unequivocally, a colossal logistical failure of a society that consistently prioritizes superficial sweeps over genuine long-term solutions. Movement, in this context, is emphatically not resolution. Merely displacing an encampment from one block to another does not magically fix homelessness. It only serves to brutally sever the already fragile connection that person had managed to forge with their dedicated social worker. It is nothing short of a cruel shell game, tragically played with invaluable human lives. Part 8. The Fragile Lifeline Community Response. In the stark and often bewildering absence of robust, comprehensive government intervention, the day-to-day survival of the Venice unhoused population falls squarely onto the overstretched shoulders of dedicated nonprofits and compassionate faith-based groups. Over 40 such organizations actively work in the area, collectively providing over 1,000 nourishing meals a week and offering crucial assistance to individuals in the arduous process of recovering lost identification, a task that is nearly impossible to accomplish without the fundamental requirement of a permanent address. These selfless volunteers, operating with tireless dedication, are often the only things standing between hundreds of desperate people and total oblivion. However, they themselves are operating at a severe breaking point. Staff burnout is sky-high, reaching alarming levels, and funding is perpetually a mere whisper away from vanishing altogether. They are consistently forced into the heartbreaking position of having to triage human suffering, making impossible decisions about who receives a meal and who gets a medical referral, simply because they are physically and financially unable to help everyone in dire need. There is a quiet, yet profoundly significant, lesson embedded here for all of us to contemplate. Many of these devoted volunteers are local residents, intimately familiar with their community. They understand, perhaps better than anyone, that the perceived line between housed and unhoused is far thinner and more precarious than most of us prefer to admit. They see the undeniable reality with stark clarity. We are all, every single one of us, just a few unforeseen disasters away from finding ourselves on the sand. Part 9. The Human Radiance Conclusion. As the sun slowly descends, painting the Venice skyline with the final hues of the day, the relentless beautification efforts persist, yet the enduring souls remain. This entire narrative is not ultimately about cold statistics or abstract data. It is at its core about the engineer, the single mother, the veteran, and the student, each of whom is currently huddling together for a sliver of warmth as you take in these words. Their lives do not explicitly ask for your pity. Instead, they implore your acknowledgement. To be truly seen is the crucial first step toward being genuinely saved. Homelessness, in its most brutal form, often strips a person of their inherent name, reducing their identity until they are known only by their relentless struggle. We are here, through these stories, to lovingly give those names back. Choosing to remain with us until the very end of this video is, in itself, an act of quiet defiance against a world that all too readily chooses to look away. It is a conscious decision to recognize and embrace the shared, inherent fragility of our collective human existence. To all of those currently living without the security of a home, you are not, and never will be, invisible. Your incredible endurance is a powerful testament to the indomitable human spirit, even if the world around you isn't actively cheering for your survival. If this poignant journey into the very heart of Venice has genuinely moved you, please consider liking this video to help keep these vital voices amplified and resounding. Subscribe to Homeless US News to join a compassionate community that resolutely refuses to accept invisibility as a viable solution. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying human.